Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Kabir. We're going to get going very shortly. Thank you for your patience. Just setting things up. We'll get going very shortly. Thank you. All right, everybody. Thanks very much for your patience. Now, if you're on our YouTube live stream, I can't see the chat, so you're more than welcome to watch and listen, but I can't answer your questions. If you want to get your questions answered, just click on the link in the chat and register to come in to the webinar. All right, let's move along. So welcome everyone to this evening's ACY Securities webinar, Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. My name is Duncan Cooper. Before we get along, just read through the risk disclaimer. Any questions, just put them into the question and answer box. I've got the chat box open too. So I'll just get you to read through the risk disclaimer before we move along. Of course, this is a live market analysis webinar. I'm going to be talking about trading levels, analysis, and things that I'm looking at, but I'm not taking into account your personal circumstances. So if you're going to trade, you're making the decisions for yourself. So that's what the risk disclaimer is really telling you there. Not taking into account your personal circumstances. Your decisions are your decisions. All right, let's move along. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities. I'm a full-time trader. Been trading the market now, or the Forex market, for more than 15 years. Had the opportunity to mentor clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is on screen there. Just send me an email. I'll get back to you within 24 hours. So duncan.cooper@acy.com. If you want to follow me at our website, acy.com, on the market news tab, you'll find my analysis commentary videos there. And they're also on our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia. And you can connect with me as well personally, if you want to, on Twitter and LinkedIn there. As well, through the week, if you want to get access to our live interactive trading feed on Telegram, where I'm providing some more analysis based around the lessons that I'm teaching in the webinars and based around the analysis that I'm presenting in the live analysis webinars, then contact nathan.bray at acy.com. I'll put his details in the chat in a moment. If you want to get access to my chart layouts as well, you can see them in this snapshot up here, and you'll see them on the screen in a moment. If you want to get access to my indicators and the tools that I use, simply contact Nathan. So I'll put his details in the chat now before we get into it. So just bear with me a moment. All right, so just give Nathan a call or give him an email. He'll get on to you. There you go, that's in the chat. All right, first up, let's just have a quick look at what news items are coming up for the week, or for the day. So Tuesday is today. We've got Canadian CPI data coming out at 10:30. Tomorrow at 11:30 for Aussie, we've got wage price index. We'll just cover the next 2 days. You can come to forexwatch.com and cover the whole week for yourself. Getting into midday tomorrow, New Zealand dollar official cash rate, expecting 50 base point rise there. So it's going to be volatile on that pair for sure. And then 1 p.m. we've got the interest rate press conference. Later in the afternoon, 4 o'clock pound CPI data, and then to 10:30 p.m. in the evening, we've got US core retail sales. So that's what's coming up over the next 24 hours or so. So just be aware of what's coming out and what you're trading. So let's get into the charts. Now, it's had quite a good sell-off at the start of the week. And let me just have a click through. We might start with the Aussie. And I'm going to go on my day chart. And we've come up. I thought at the beginning of the week we might come up and challenge these higher levels of resistance all the way up to weekly resistance at 95.73, but we had a heavy sell-off yesterday, moving back below day support levels here at 93.88 and 93.68. So have we failed up there? If I draw a fib in, what you're going to see is that we've had a 79% retracement of that range, where we created the double top and then moved down to this weekly low. We've just run a little bit beyond the 79 and then failed. So are we now theoretically putting in a move back down this way to test weekly support and maybe come down to the 127 extension? So that's what I'm looking at as a possible reversal pattern from the area. I'm actually going to go through the 79% fib pattern tomorrow. So I'm seeing there that we've rallied up, fading at the 79% level there. Now we could still move up higher and retest those resistance levels, but we had a strong sell-off yesterday. So I'm going with that vein. And on the 4-hour, we're having a little bit of an up move here at the moment. Maybe though, holding at this now daily resistance level, what was support, we're testing 93.88. Can't get up to the figure yet. And I actually put this in the Telegram today, looking at trading down from the central pivot point. So on the 15, we've actually traded at the central pivot point 3 times to the left here, traded down. And then we're coming up now to test 93.88. We could get up to the figure today, but at the moment we're holding at 93.88. So, you know, if you see a trend line break, you need to decide, do you like that as a trigger to trade down from that resistance area? There is a possibility that we may well move higher. We've tested the central pivot point 3 times and we are a little bit above it. So for me personally, we could, that move down to the low there, the move down we had yesterday, we could see a rally back up within that structure. And the 79% that I was talking about just before lines up with another 79% when you're using this smaller range here. So we could have another rally back up. That would be ideal if you're not already short. That would be ideal if you haven't gotten short higher up, to look at those two 79% levels. So they are at 94.70 and 94.63. So that to me would be the most preferred level. However, we may well hold here. We may well just come up to 94 and hold. All right. If I had to pick a perfect level to trade, that would be up here. Now, I don't know whether it'll give me that level. With this central pivot point being hit 3 times and a little bit above, I'm just getting the sense we're going to pop further up. So I'm now on my hands waiting to see if we can get up to these higher levels. All right. Now, tomorrow, I don't know where price will be tomorrow, but depending on what happens today, if we're below 94 come the opening of Asia tomorrow, start of the new day, then I would look at 94 to be resistance, but I don't know where price will be then. So I'm just giving you a heads up what I might be looking for tomorrow. Below 94 today, then I could look at 94 to be resistance tomorrow. If we're above 94 today, if we start moving higher, I'm going to be looking up here at these two 79% levels. All right. Just want to click through the other charts. I just wanted to talk about that area because I know it's an area where price could hold, depending on what people want to do. Just want to get an update to what's been going on since I've been setting up and logging on. All right, we'll cover the New Zealand yen while we're getting towards a possible area that the market could hold out to trade down today. Now, last week I was discussing the 86.56 top up here. If price got up to that level, it'd be a great level to trade down from, but we've never got to that level. And like the Aussie yen, we had a strong sell-off yesterday. And so go to the weekly chart in a moment. There's a top here, and we've moved down to a lower bottom. So basically, we've been having a weekly rally. All right, a weekly rally. Draw me a fib from that top to low. And it's very similar to the Aussie yen. We fared at the 79% level. All right. Are we going to be looking for a move down towards the 127 extension? All right. To the 4 hour, yes, like I just showed you on the Aussie yen, be great if it got up to the 79% level of this smaller range or back up to the 79% level of the larger range. We'll look for an opportunity to trade down from up there, assuming, you know, we get a deep rally, but we may well not. You have to monitor price. So at the moment, after yesterday's large drop, we're underneath the central pivot point, we're underneath the figure. So there is an area here that the market could hold at 85 plus the central pivot point 85.01. That could offer very good resistance intraday for a move down. We haven't been able to get there yet. And in pairs that are trading strongly up or down, we were down strongly yesterday. Often central pivot point is as high as we can get the next trading day. All right, so we haven't got there yet. So a failure there could be the high of the day for a move down, okay? All right, just going to click through the other ones I haven't quite looked at yet. All right, so what I want to do, I've covered two. I just want to cover the dollar index and its structure. Have a look at the S&P 500, and then we'll get through the other pairs that I normally look at. Now, the dollar index has just had a month down, just found support at last month's low, and is getting some upward pressure there, as you can see. Last month, we failed, or at least rejected, some monthly resistance levels, 108.09 and 109.24 from back in time. Hasn't changed the trend though, that rejection. We were still positive for last month, and we're more than positive from the month before at the moment. And on the weekly chart, we're getting some support from this weekly top, which is 105.02. And we've had about a 62% retracement on the weekly chart, which in opposition, we've had about a 62% retracement, say on the euro dollar back up, and same on the pound dollar, a little bit higher on the Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar, but a retracement back to the 62 to 79% areas of most pairs to the US dollar, in the dollar index back to approximately 62. So this just looks to me like it's putting in a higher bottom here to move up. And the daily is almost coming up to take out the last lower top. So it's structurally starting to turn back up. So I'm expecting this is going to be moving up, which is US dollar strength, obviously. And we're going to see pairs to the US dollar moving down. And S&P 500 is at a very nice, go to the monthly chart. There's a range here that we're trading back upwards within. There's a monthly support level here, 42.68. And if I drop it back down to the daily here, we're just a little bit above monthly supports, and we're just above the 62 level. So it's not out of the stretch of imagination that we could start to top here in that area for a move down, but it hasn't shown its hand yet. And of course, it could move higher. So even though we're starting to see a bit of US dollar strength, we're not seeing any stock market weakness just yet. But it is in an area where we could expect weakness to start to come in. All right. All right, let's get into the Aussie dollar. Now, I did say in my weekly analysis, weekend analysis, that these three candles here with the wicks on them were looking a little bit like they were getting to the top of the range, showing those shadows on the top of those candles. And we came just short of this daily resistance here. And we've turned down. Now, the day structure here is still up. However, when you go to your weekly chart, I know there's lots of lines on here, but From that high to the low, we've come up to 79% retracement, but structurally the weekly trend is lower top, lower bottom rally. So back to my daily. So we've, come up to the 79% level, just short of. All right. Often when we fail there, we're going to come down and test the support low that we've moved up from and potentially move through to the 127 extension. Just pausing, got something in the chat coming in. Slavy saying S&P 500 and most of the market indices kept moving up while dollar was also going up against other majors. Well, yeah, that's what I've just said. US dollar is starting to move back up now, but the indices aren't quite topping out, but they are at what we would call technical levels where they could top out. So we'll just have to wait and see. And yes, usually US dollar strength means S&P 500 would go down, but maybe one thing's lagging, one thing's leading. All we can do is look at what the market is showing us, and we're not seeing a perfect inverse correlation there at the moment. All right. All right, so back to the Aussie dollar. Now, if I just get rid of a few of these lower levels at the moment. We're not going to get to these levels at the moment. But these two levels here, we're just moving down now to what is monthly support or resistance, these monthly lows from the left. So are we going to move back below these levels through the course of the week? So be aware of 69.91, it's monthly support at the moment, 69.67, which is monthly support. This isn't the best area to be a seller in. Would have been great to get short up here. All right, I got short up here at 71. So now I don't have to worry about trading through support down here. Now we have moved through this top, which is 70.47. So look to 70.47 to be resistance if we get some kind of upward movement. So trading down from around about 70.47 would be ideal, so that you've got ample space to get your trade to break even, to see whether price can move through these monthly support levels here. And then there's some more day support levels further down. So it looks to me like we may have failed at 79. We could be then obviously moving down the range, have to negotiate those monthly levels of support to come down and test this area of support at the bottom here. This weekly level at 66.81 that's been recently formed. So let's just drop it down the time frames. The 4-hour structure is down, as I've just said. For price to cycle back up a bit would be great, back up to this old top, 70.47. So I'll just be watching that. Even today, coming up to 70.47, that is actually below the central pivot point. So central pivot points at 70.52, 70.47 is your daily resistance. That would be an ideal level to trade down from if price will let it, go up and let you trade. Look for a trade down from that area up there. Might not get there. At the moment, it is getting some support here at 70 and 69.91 monthly support. That might be short-lived. You'll have to wait and see. But for me, structurally on the weekly chart, we're putting in a lower top potentially. So I want to look for a level to trade down from if I'm not already in. All right. And this would be a good level to watch. All right, 70.47 up to 70.52. Whether or not I can get there today. Now, if we get a clear break below 70 today with some conviction, could look at 70 tomorrow to be resistance, but we'll just have to wait and see what price does. All right, euro yen. Now, I was actually bullish this pair last week, but we've been moving down with the euro dollar weakness. So today chart, there's a weekly low here. In fact, I'm going to go to my weekly chart. Lots of support down here. There's monthly support, weekly support, and day support in this area where we're rejected on the weekly chart. But we've got a lower top. We're starting to confirm another lower top. So the weekly trend is clearly down here. So This weekly low here at 136.86 would be a great level to watch to be resistance if we got back up there. On the daily, that's what it looks like at the moment. Starting to put in another lower top. Can we get back up to 136.86 for a retest and failure? We'll just have to wait and see. All right. At the moment, it's kind of a bit in the middle of this support zone at the bottom and resistance here. So perfect place to sell would be at resistance on a trade setup to trade down, if it can get there. Structure on the 4-hour, if you draw a fib in across that range, then the 62 is at 136.65. That weekly resistance is at 136.86 and 79% is at 137.12. So in that area, would be a good area to watch for the market to rally back to. Ideally, I'm watching 136.86. Does the market rally back up to it, hold and fail for a move down? All right. If we strongly move back above it, look at it to be support. All right. We might not get there, but that's the level I'm watching to trade around if we can get there. Euro dollar. Now, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I had been shouting from the roof, watch this low here and monthly resistance. Monthly resistance being from the monthly chart, this low here, 103.40. Okay, came up last week up to a high of 103.68, so it went 28 pips above the monthly level. And we had weekly resistance at 103.49 and daily resistance at 103.59. So we just got above the last level and then failed. So I don't know if anybody traded up there. I did. I got short at 103.42. And we've obviously moved back down. So now the question is, go to the weekly chart. Are we putting in a lower top here now for a further move down? If I draw a fib in, we've had about a 62% rally as well. In fact, hang on, the last lower top's just there. Let's get that right. 62 level lined up perfectly with all that monthly, daily, weekly resistance. Held. It was a great level to look to trade down from. Are we now moving down to retest where we came from at 99.52? All things being equal, probably. We still have to move through support here. The support that I've got drawn in, 101.18 is monthly support. If you go back in time, you'll find it. Then I've got there's a couple of day support levels here. There's day support at 101.22 and 100.96. So, from 101.22 down to 100.96 is support. Can we get below 100.96 with some, impetus, some strong movements, strong breakthrough there? We could get support here to move all the way back up. So the thing to watch for if we move down to the 4-hour chart is this area down here has been support over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So is it going to be support now that it's failed up here? If it holds here, it could well move back up. So you could look for long opportunity if you see a setup for yourself to trade up. I think structurally the long-term trend is down, so I'd much rather structure something to the short side, but depending on how you trade, you might see a bounce down here. To get short, I don't know how deep a rally we can get, but you can draw a fib across the current 4-hour trend. We might come up to a 62.79 level, see a failure for a move down. It may not do that. You might want to wait for a break of support now and then look for support to be resistance. So then, if we break through support clearly, look at 10100 to be resistance for a move down to test parity in 99.52. All right, so this is one of those pairs at the moment that isn't in the best place. If you're not already short, we're kind of in an area of support. So if your long-term view is, yes, it's moving down, great, but where we're at isn't the best place just to go and click sell, because you can see that we've had 4-hour support numerous times in this area. Okay, so you'll just have to bide your time for the best level. Yes, coming higher up and seeing a failure higher up would be ideal, but it might not do that. So you'll just have to monitor it. On the 50-minute chart, it is showing you weakness at the moment. It's not getting anywhere near the central pivot point. Yesterday, didn't get anywhere near the central pivot point. Today, you can't even get anywhere near the central pivot point. It's miles away. So I would probably think, any rally at the moment, even if we move into tomorrow, before we get a rally, if we get a rally, watch 10200. Today, we can't get anywhere near 10200. And if you look left yesterday, see how we started to move below, and it kind of became resistance around the area, moved down, became resistance here. So that's what I'm saying. A good resistance level would be the 10200 level to watch for intraday failure if we can rally. It's always good to be selling a rally, not selling near the low of the day, because you could sell near the low of the day and then it rallies back up. To try to sell a rally, that would be a good area to look for a rally. Pound yen at the moment, it is on weekly support here. I don't really like this pair at the moment. It's very range bound, so I'm just staying away from it until it gets a little bit clearer, a little bit cleaner. I mean, if you wanted to look for an opportunity to trade up from weekly support here, that might work for you. But as we get into the pound dollar in a moment, pound dollar is very weak at the moment. This pound yen is starting to make now a lower top, lower bottom, but we're into weekly support here. So this isn't the best area to sell into. So is it the best pair to trade at the moment? Well, just its positional play in terms of where price is and where strong support is. All right, probably not. So I'm just leaving that pair alone. This could well start to move back up and still keep this very consolidatory look about it. Pound dollar. All right. For the last 2 weeks, or during the last 2 weeks, in any event, I was broadcasting the idea that we're going to fail maybe up here in this area. I'll just take a few of these lines off for a moment. All right. So this 122.51 level is a weekly level of resistance. So, you always have to look left to see what was. This just proves the benefit and how, this level of weekly support that was created back in 2020 further became support in 22 and it has now become resistance. All right. So you have to look left and get your support and resistance joining properly. So last week we ultimately failed at that area, and last month's high is up in the area too. And also I was discussing the 79% fib. I actually sold it last week at the 79% fib after the news in this area here. Stop above the high up there. So I'm looking for this to break this area at the moment. Now we are trading down into support. So it's not the best pair at the moment to look to try to open a position, because support could be support. Just back to the daily moment. Let me just get my other lines back in I just took off before. All right, so we are trading into, well, actually we're fractioning below. It's a bit messy, but there's some daily tops here that were support, and we've actually traded below those levels, and we are trading below those levels at the moment. So the next level of support There's a day support level here which I haven't drawn in. It's at 12003, so pretty much the 120 level. And these next levels are important. If you go to your monthly chart, there's long-term historical monthly support at 119.86, 119.58, and then we've got weekly support here. So we are trading into a very potentially strong level of support. Will price move just clearly down through, or will it be hard going? So you need to know that 120, 100, 119.86, 119.58, and 119.33. There's a whole bunch of support levels there that the market needs to now negotiate. So get them on your charts. 4 hour is down. This could, if it wanted to, rally back up within the 4 hour downtrend to say the 62 to the 79 if it wanted to, but I don't know if it's going to. At the moment, what's happening is price action is just starting to want to hold below the daily levels of support that was from the two tops on the day chart. We're starting to just maybe reject 102.45, and then we've got that day support down here now at 1203. So we do have some news coming out for the pound tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see whether we break down through there ahead of that or not. So on the 15-minute chart, those are those two daily levels of what was support. See how we've moved below the late New York into early Asia, and then now it's becoming resistance. So now the next level to challenge is 120, really, 120.03. 30 pips to go before then. To you whether you click in, but be aware that the next level of support's just there, 120.100. So lots of support levels in the way of the move down. That's why it would have been great if you got short last week. I don't know if anybody did. Did anybody get short last week? Further up, around about the 79% level. We're getting short later last week would have been ideal, because now you don't have to worry about contending with support. So just be aware of those support levels. Cover the New Zealand yen. It's still staying weak. It does not want to get up to the central pivot point in its London trading. New Zealand dollar. We've got obviously the interest rate decision tomorrow. Doesn't seemingly want to stop moving down. So this pair, go to the day chart. We're going to go to the weekly chart first. And these levels are weekly and monthly. Weekly resistance up here, and monthly support here, weekly support down here. But I did some video analysis on this pair today, discussing that we failed at 79% level. So the Aussie dollar just failed fractionally short of the 79. This got up to the 79. Like on the Aussie yen, Aussie dollar, I was suggesting maybe we failed at 79 or close to move down for the next leg towards the 127 extension. Number of pairs kind of showing that same formation. All right. Of course, you can't go back now in time to the 79% level and sell it. But we've got the interest rate decision coming out tomorrow. So I wouldn't trade a New Zealand cross till after the news tomorrow. But what might happen? Price might pop up a little bit higher for you. Just going to put my support levels back in, my resistance levels. We're actually moving through today what was support at 63.52, and that's where we failed at last week, 64.60 resistance. So moving down, 62.04 is monthly support. So that's the first level, big level in its way, and then the next big level would be 60.46 weekly support. Now, just drop down the 4 hour. Tomorrow, when the news comes out, depending on how the market reacts, we could get a relief rally. Now I'm just going to be, wherever price is tomorrow, I'm going to draw a fib in from high to low. And then I'm going to look to see if it can rally it back up to the 62.79 area tomorrow after the news. And then does it fail? Does it turn over in that area? Might not offer that, but that's what I'm looking for. Does it give a relief rally after the news? So you can try and structure a sell higher up within the overall move down from that bigger 79% level. All right. Depending on where price is tomorrow, price could be down here tomorrow. I just put a dot on my chart there. Price could be there tomorrow. So then maybe I might change my mind and look at 63.52 to be the level that I might trade down from. But ultimately, after the news tomorrow, when we get the interest rate decision, they're expecting 50 base points. Does price have a relief rally, hold, and start to move back down again? Of course, it might just drop after the news, and then there is no option to get in. But I'm not going to hold a position for the news because interest rates are too volatile. So I just have to be patient with that pair at the moment. But it would be nice if we got some form of relief rally to trade down from. All right, dollar Canadian. Nothing much is changing other, we have moved down fractionally lower. I've been looking at this 79% retracement area, 126.68. Can it move down to there? Not getting down there yet, but it is gradually putting in further lower bottoms. Still doesn't want to go through that resistance at 129.01. That's weekly resistance. As I've been saying, is if you want to try and structure a trade with a longer term trend, which is up, try to be a buyer on at a lower price point at the 79% area, so that if you're in, once you're coming up to negotiate resistance, we've got weekly resistance at 29.01, monthly resistance at 29.63, and then a further weekly resistance up here. If you get in low, once you start to challenge resistance, at least you're risk-free. And then you're asking the market to break through resistance. Trying to be profitable when you're having to break through known strong levels of resistance is very difficult to be profitable. So if that's the only option for this pair at the moment, is just trying to struggle with resistance, I'll just leave the pair alone. All right. Like I've just been showing you on the euro dollar, for example, it's not in the best area to open a trade up. You're trading into lots of support. This isn't the best area to try and open a trade to the long side. You've got lots of resistance to try and negotiate. So you have to pick your battles. All right, so look at the dollar yen. Now, this has been a little bit difficult. The weekly chart, we've had a 62% retracement. We had a good rejection from weekly support in the 62 level. Then last week we were negative. This week we're kind of sitting in the range of last week. And the day chart trend has been lower top where it is now. It's lower top, higher bottom. Put a little bit of a smaller, higher bottom in there, but it's a bit uncertain. And it's moving back up to 135.16, which is monthly resistance. And then we've got day resistance. So it's not, looks like it's moving up, but you don't want to be buying into resistance. And we do have a lower top, higher bottom, so it's a little bit mixed. The 4-hour structure is going to show that it is up. So you could, I think it's moving up potentially. You could be drawing a fib across the 4-hour structure here, looking for a pullback to the 62, to the 79. That 4-hour structure holds at those levels to move back up, then you're getting in ahead of a challenge of resistance. Don't be trying to get in. Don't be getting in too close to resistance is what I'm trying to say. Once you start to see it moving up, you think, okay, yes, this is moving up strongly. It'll probably be close to resistance. Try to look for a 4-hour pullback on the pair. All right. So it has calmed down the dollar yen. It's no longer doing its major run like it was doing. It's getting a little bit more consolidated. It's potentially still got a bid. I think the 10-year bonds, the yields are slightly rising. So the dollar yen's rising on the yield rise. So it is keeping a bid tone just, but is it keeping a strong trend? Not really. All right. So ultimately there's a little bit of a bid tone to it, but that being said, try to buy the dips wherever they come in within the fib tool on the 4-hour chart. All right. All right, let's have a look at gold. Just to finish off. All right, I actually did review this today in our Telegram. Weekly chart here. This is monthly support down here. This is monthly resistance all the way up here. And we've bounced off or just close to monthly support. And we are starting to fail at weekly resistance here. We've been above it. Now we're back below it. I did talk about last week the fact that this decline down here was in line with US dollar strength and currencies to the dollar moving down. Currencies to the dollar moving down, we're getting back to US dollar strength. And this is starting to show some weakness. So are we moving back in with that whole correlation? US dollar strength, got weakness to move back down to support here. This weekly structure with the fib drawn across the range, you can see there, I'm going to move to the daily. We're playing at the 62, we put a minor lower top in already. And what I was talking about today was on the 4 hour, can we come up and do a retest of 1786, hold and fail, start to turn over? Is that an area where we can start to see an opportunity to trade down from, back down? It's looking like it's fading to me on the weekly chart in that area. So looking to structure an opportunity to sell down from 1786. All right. All right, everybody, any questions? Everybody's a bit quiet tonight. Anybody in any trades that they want to talk about? Ultimately, what I'm seeing at the moment, when I talk about the bigger picture trend at the moment, let's go to the day chart on the Aussie. 79. This is a weekly downtrend correction. This to me is a lower top thing at the 79% level. On the euro dollar, it's the same deal, weekly chart. Well, it's not gone up as high. It's failed at the 62% level of the weekly downtrend. Corrective move, 62% failure. On the pound dollar, if you go to your weekly chart, I know there's lots of lines here, but from that high to low, we've been a little bit short of the 62, maybe 30 pips short of the 62% level before starting to move down. There's a day look, a little bit short of the 62 before moving down. As I showed you on the New Zealand dollar, day chart structure there, that's the weekly move down. That's corrective, lower top forming on the weekly, potentially at the 79. So we're seeing lots of the higher time frame structure looking very similar, and the gold's looking very similar. It's structurally possibly failing at the 62% retracement on the weekly. So we're seeing lots of pairs kind of showing the same pattern. If that's the overall pattern that's going to unfold, it looks like pairs to the US dollar are now moving down. Can they move down to where they came from? Then, if that is the general picture, you're looking for opportunities to sell rallies. And hopefully you're not trying to sell into any levels of strong support. Some pairs have already moved down a little bit into support, so it's a little bit difficult just to get in right this minute, but be patient. Hopefully a pair will offer you a rally somewhere where you can get in. If you're patient enough, an opportunity should present. All right, Aussie yen still wanting to fail or hold here at the 93.80 broken day support, becoming resistance here. Almost got to the 94 level. Still showing some weakness there. I did just see before the Aussie dollars wanting to move. It's coming down a test of monthly support. So as I said before, monthly support's at 69.91, 69.67. All right, not the best area to be a seller. Great if you're already short further up, great, because now you don't have to worry. All right, tomorrow I'm going to cover the 79% level. I've just showed you on the Aussie dollar. Tomorrow's webinar is talking about the 79% retracement pattern. Price will often come up, fail at the 79% level on the day chart or the weekly chart. This is where you want to start to look to structure trades. Myself, if you know Nathan, And Lenny at the office on our trading desk. We all got short last week. I put 71. We all saw this resistance here. We saw that possibly we were fading just ahead of 79%. And we got short at 71 or close to. All didn't click at all at the same time, but we all came to the same conclusion that up here was the area to look to take a trade, structure something. Now the question is, can it start to break down through support? So always trying to look in these areas. I'm going to cover that tomorrow, give you some examples, some ways of getting in around these areas. But these are the areas where I'm structuring my longer term trades for, if we are going to move down towards support here or even lower to maybe move through to the 127 extension. You can start to look at these areas and be patient for those areas to come up. I got it at 71-ish. Move down to support, there's 420 pips. But if you break down through, there's 580 pips down there. That's how I start to structure my longer term trades. All right, so we'll go through the 79% fit pattern tomorrow. So on our website, let me just bring it up, give you a look at what's coming out over the next week. Tomorrow, we're going to go through the 79% fib retracement pattern, 7 p.m, Thursday, live market analysis. Next week, in terms of education, so next Wednesday, or week on Wednesday, I'm going to go through the double top pattern. Last month, we had two great double tops form on the Aussie yen and trying to think of the other pair, pound yen and Aussie yen, both offered very good double tops last month for profit. So understanding that pattern and how you can get in with limited risk for maximum reward. That's on the 24th. And I think as well on the 31st, I'm going to go through what I call range trading using Fibonacci. So 3 education webinars. These webinars will give you plenty of scope to trade around and be able to structure low risk, high reward in terms of risk reward. Okay, if you get your head around how to trade those patterns. So those are coming on the Wednesdays, following 3 Wednesdays, and on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, live market analysis. So just head over to the webinar page to register your interest if you want to tag into those. All right, everybody, any final questions? You're all quiet tonight. Slav, thank you. All right, everybody, if there's no questions, I'm going to call it there. You've got some levels to watch over the next 24 hours. If you're in Telegram, then simply log into there. I'll give you an update on some of the pairs I'm looking at. If you just come in late to the webinar, you haven't got Nathan's details, I'll just put his details in the chat before I go so you can grab it. So Nathan's details, if you want to get access to my chart layout, so access to the Telegram, simply contact Nathan. There's his details. I'll just leave that in there for a minute. All right, if anybody's on our live YouTube stream, then I can't see the chat, so I can't answer your questions, but I might just hop onto there before I end, just to see if there's any chat. I might go in there now to see if there's any chat. All right, somebody's talking to me. All right, so Mr. Unknown, he's doing well on the US30 and the gold and GJ. Excellent. All right, thanks for attending. All right, everybody. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow if you've got the time for the education webinar on the 79% fib. Other than that, wherever you are, thanks very much for attending. Stay safe and look forward to seeing you next time.